Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another one of my virtual tours. We're going to be in South Africa now, and we're in the Kruger National Park. I've decided to do a birding and a wildlife virtual tour of Kruger, very, very world famous national park, and I've divided it up into three segments. I'm going to be doing the south, the central parts, then the north. Kruger is just such a big park. It's 2.2 million hectares in size. That's about the size of Wales, Israel, or the state of Mississippi. So we just decided it's easier to just break it up into three parts for you to enjoy. And I'll be going through from the south to the north, the different camps, the different birding areas, etc. So this will be the first one. So grab your coffee. I've got mine. It's rather cold in South Africa this morning, and we'll take it from there. You'll see I'm doing this as a way just to get people interested in birding, and just to give someone to do with this, give us all something to do with this COVID madness and this craziness. But of course, at the moment, I can't guide and I can't travel. So if you've enjoyed these virtual tours, you'll see at the end, I've got a link to a PayPal. If you enjoyed them, would like to make a donation, I'll be greatly appreciated of that. And then any local South Africans, you can make contact with me, and I can also give you bank details. But enough about that. Let's go. So there you can see that's one of the striking birds of Kruger Park, your Battalier eagle. It is a critically endangered species, and I only ever see these birds confined to national parks. It's quite sad. Once they leave or fly out of the national parks, they often get poisoned when they come down. They are scavengers and come down and will feed on carcasses that have been poisoned. So it's quite sad, but I will touch on that a bit now. Just you can see I've got two logos up there. I do all my guiding for Nature Travel Birding, and then we've got a sister company, Nature Travel Kruger. So I'll put the links up at the end. Please feel free to join us on Facebook, and once we can all travel again, join me on a tour, in a birding tour anywhere in the world, Africa, or here in Kruger Park. So just a little bit about the park. You heard me say it's 2.2 million hectares in size. Over 500 species of birds have been recorded in this national park. So it's got quite a lot of different habitats. We've got the acacia-dominated bushveld towards more in the south, along our main rivers, the Shingwetsi, the Sabi, part of the Crocodile, and then up in the north, the Levuvu River, you get your riverine forest. The central parts and some of the parts in the north have still got some very good pristine grassland, and as you go towards the Lebombo Mountains, we get some good grassland on the foothills of the Lebombos. And then in the south towards the west, you get the Pretorius-Kop Sauerveld, with the Terminalia serraceus, your silver cluster leaves. And then a good part of up in the north is what a lot of people think is quite boring, your Mopani woodland. But that Mopani up in the north around Pun Maria has got some really special birds that's found in it, the likes of Onnet's Chat, Crocodile roller. And then, of course, a visit to Kruger National Park, or when we talk of this great national park, we have to mention the mammals. On our birding tours that we offer, we focus on birds, and of course, we focus on the mammals as well. So, Kruger Park's got a mammal list of over 150 species. Of course, all the big and furries and things that like to eat you are there. So, of course, the famous Big Five, black rhino, cheetah. It's got a very, very healthy population of wild dog, one of the healthiest populations in Southern Africa and even Africa. And then some special small things as well, which I'll be touching on as we go through this tour. Some of Kruger's top birds are some of the birds that are seen throughout the park. You heard me say Onnet's Chat, crowned eagle up in the north. Dickinson's kestrel is found in certain areas, mainly around Klipperfontein Dam. White-breasted cuckoo shrike or Mahoney loop, racket-tailed roller up in the north of the Levuvu Bridge, and even sometimes around Punda Maria. Brett's helmet shrike, brown-necked and brown-headed parrots, bronze-winged corsair. It's an amazing park for raptors and even harriers. Raptors like this Battalier eagle, Marshall eagle, tawny eagle, lesser spotted eagle, Wahlberg's eagle. Those are all our migrants that come through. All our vulture species, white-backed vulture, white-headed vulture, sometimes Cape vulture stray in from the escarpment, leopard-faced vulture, the biggest vulture. We even had rarities like your Egyptian vulture seen last year in the Letaba area. Letaba olifants and even Satara area, the bird was hanging around in that area. Harriers in summer, we get Montague pallid harrier. come into the park, into those open grasslands. It's great for water birds. The park's got some really good water in, flowing rivers flowing through the park, starting in the south, Crocodile River, Sabi River, Letaba, Olifant, Shingwetsi, Levuvu, and Limpopo rivers, and those you can imagine, things like saddle-billed storks, black storks, yellow-billed storks, your herons, your egrets. It really attracts some great kingfishers, some really, really great birds. Other amazing birds, black-throated wattle-eye, bushveld pipit, eastern nicketer, a moor falcon, Eurasian hobby, bearded scrub robin in Punamere Rest Camp, even in Kingfisher Rest Camp, dusky lark, mottled spine-tail, bomb spine-tail, tropical bobo. You can see, I mean, the park has got, that's just some of the birds. We're going to go into detail now. And it attracts rarities. You heard me mention the Egyptian vulture, green sandpiper, gets reported every year from the park, which is a rarity down here in South Africa. Northern wheatear, pitched up a few years at Transport Dam in the south. The African skimmers seem to be making a more regular appearance now along the Letaba River. There was one at Sunset Dam. And then, I mean, we even had seabirds blown in from when we've got tropical cyclones off the Mozambique coast. So the beauty of the park is really anything can pitch up, but it's just a fantastic park to spend a few days birding in and really just enjoying the birds, enjoying the wildlife, the scenery, and hopefully through this trip and these tours, you can see what I mean. Just a few maps quickly of the park to give you an idea. So I told you I've divided these tours into three. That's a map there of Southern Kruger down there in the south. We're going to be starting along the Crocodile River, just there near Bergendal or Bergendal Rest Camp. And then heading up towards Kingfisher and Lower Sabi along the Sabi River, and then up to Satara and then up to Olifant. So I'm going to be doing this first tour up to them. And then just to give an idea of Northern Kruger, from Olifants, then we get Mopani, Shingwetsi, Pundameria. I'll be covering a little bit in the birding in this section in my third virtual tour. And then just to give a whole idea of the map of Kruger. So you can see Kruger is almost in the shape of an L. It's bordered in the east by Mozambique and the Lebombo Mountains running the length of the park. Down in the south is the most populated part of the park. It's got the highest concentration of roads. Most of the tourists go there, all looking for the big five, but it's still got some exceptional birding and well worth spending time up there. But if you really want to do the park any justice and get an idea of the park, you want to travel the length of the park and spend time in the north as well. And we've got the private game reserves border the park in the west, Sabi Sands, Timbavati, Klaseri, etc. And then right up in the north there, you can see Kiriondo border post almost in the middle that goes into Mozambique. And then up in the north, it is also bordered by Zimbabwe, the Limpopo River being the boundary at Crook's Corner, which we'll touch on a little bit later. So enjoy, let's get into the birding. So we're starting down in the south. This is what we know is the Malalan Bridge over the Crocodile River, just before you enter Kruger Park in its most southerly point at Malalan Gate. This is an exceptionally good spot. If we're doing a birding tour in the south, we will visit this bridge and we just spend time here scanning the river. With it being a river, you can imagine it's going to attract many water birds, saddle-billed storks, yellow-billed storks. In summer, really good for waders. Wood sandpiper, common sandpiper, marsh sandpiper. There's even been green sandpiper here before. There's always a host of kingfishers, pie kingfisher, malachite kingfisher, giant kingfisher. We're even lucky from time to time to get half-collared kingfisher here as well. The saddle-billed storks are breeding along the stretch of the river. So there's a pair that's almost always around and hangs around. It's got a very, very good healthy population of fish, mainly tilapia in it. Some catfish as well, which can be seen when the water is low, like in this picture, and that you can imagine will attract a lot of your birds preying on fish. So of course, your African fish eagle, the call of Africa. In summer, we get western osprey. I've seen from this bridge before. Goliath heron, which is your largest heron in the world, and then good amounts of egrets. We get all three species of egret here, from great egret, yellow-billed egret, and your intermediate egret. And you can see, if you look in this photo there in the background, you can see there's actually a herd of elephants that have come down to drink. This was taken in the afternoon. You can see the impala there on the sandbanks. And of course, some good population of crocodile and hippo. It's always entertaining spending time on this bridge. There you can see a beautiful saddle-billed stork. It's very, very interesting. These birds, you can actually sex these birds by looking at the color of the eye. So this is a male with a pale eye. The females have got bright yellow eye. As you heard me say, the other storks we get here, yellow-billed stork. White stork will also sometimes be seen flying over the river. It's a really, just really, really good area. There's your pied kingfisher. You can stand on the bridge and often watch them hovering at eye level. Then they shoot down into the water to catch fish. There's also often giant kingfisher that will sit on the bridge. There's a Goliath heron, your largest heron in the world. There's a great egret. This was also taken in the Kruger Park. This wasn't taken from the bridge. You can't unfortunately get eye level to the birds. You have to look down on them. And then there, one of our rarities. This was a green sandpiper. It was taken just a little bit south of Marilyn Bridge. And of course, your African fish eagle. I think this is a really iconic bird for the continent. Any birder, when they come to Africa, really hopes they can get their eyes and be able to see African fish eagle. And the Kruger Park is a great place to see this species. A trip to the park, you will see African fish eagle. You heard me mention the osprey. I've seen osprey numerous times, especially in the summer months around this bridge over the Crocodile River, and often you'll see them coming down and also fishing along the river. So we're going to be now moving off. We basically will be, once we're done birding along the bridge, we enter the Kruger Park, Marilyn Gate, and even while filling in the paperwork and hanging around the gate, these are probably going to be one of the first birds you see. Iconic bird, if it's your first visit to Southern Africa, is your southern yellow-billed hornbill, aka the flying banana or the zazu bird from the Lion King. Now we know there's a wide variety of different hornbills across the African continent. The small hornbills like yellow-billed hornbill, red-billed hornbill. Slightly more north, you start to get Bradfield's hornbill in Namibia. And then even more up into East Africa, we get Van Dyck's hornbill, Jackson's hornbill. It's a big family. I mean, the tropical forest on our Uganda trips, our trips to Cameroon, our trips to Ghana, you start looking for your hornbills with their big casques, your black and white casqued hornbill. Parts of Kruger, we get trumpeter hornbills. As you can hear, the hornbills is a very, very diverse family. They're very unique in the way they nest. These guys actually all are hornbills, even your big southern ground hornbills. They will all look for a nest cavity to make a hole in. So look for a tree with a hole in. The female will go in there, she'll lay her eggs, and then she'll actually sit on the eggs for the entire incubation period, while the male will actually seal up that hole. He'll leave a small little opening, and he will feed her the whole time she's sitting on the eggs during the incubation period. So it's very, very interesting birds. These are common in Kruger. All of our picnic sites and our camps, the hornbills are around, and they become really opportunistic. Once they realize where there's food, they often hang around there. Other hornbill species in the park: southern red-billed hornbill, African grey hornbill. You heard me say the trumpeters, and then of course the charismatic, your ground hornbills as well. Around Skukuza and up in the north, you also get the very local crowned hornbills, a riverine special. Other birds we often see in this area are different types of swallows, your lesser striped swallows, your European or your barn swallows. We'll see starlings common around the gate and also common around the camps. Very beautiful birds. We get our Cape glossy starling. It's now called a Cape starling. Your Birchall starling. In summer we get our violet backed or your plum colored starlings. And up more north you start to get things like your Meave starling. And then swifts. The swifts are quite common around the bridge as well and around the area. Little swift, African palm swifts are often in the area. In summer you get black swifts sometimes coming over the river. So really, you can hear there's a lot that goes on around in this area. So we now enter the park, and our first point of call, we'll be driving, and we're going to head towards the rest camp in Southern Kruger, and this is Bergendal or Bergendal Rest Camp. Berg, it means mountain in Afrikaans. So the area is famous for, it's got some really, really good birding, and it's really, really also famous for its wildlife. There's some really, really good wildlife that is found around the camp. They've got a resident pair of your African wild dogs, or we rather refer to them now as your Cape hunting dogs. There's a pack that often hangs around Bergendal and in that part of Southern Kruger, and often early mornings going out during our birding. It's always a good distraction to coming across one of Africa's most endangered carnivore. After the wolves in Ethiopia, the wild dogs are our most endangered carnivore. Estimate Kruger's got a population of about 300 dogs at the moment. It's one of the highest populations in Africa. And Kruger's got a really, really good conservation program. My friends Grant and them at the Endangered Wildlife Trust do amazing work managing the wild dog population in Kruger and collaring them to track their movements, if they escape the park in, the back end, removing snares off of their necks. So they do really, really well. And it's always something we really try to find to show guests on our trips. It's my favorite mammal. They're such amazing animals. And with their unique coat patterns, I've been involved in a little bit of their conservation work. And I was studying, we were doing a photographic census on the wild dogs, trying to get an idea of how many exactly are in the park. And because their coat patterns are so unique, you can identify the wild dogs just on their coat pattern. And this photo I actually took, I think I took this photo literally outside Crocodile camp early one morning. You can see the light shining on this dog, and these dogs are focused on a group of impala. They're always amazing animals when you watch them hunting, how they communicate with each other. You know, they're led by an alpha pair, an alpha male and alpha female, and you can hear how they communicate, and they'll go around prey, and they actually have a strict hunting strategy, and they're very, very successful carnivores when it comes to hunting. Other great carnivores around, of course, everyone wants to see a leopard when they come to Africa, and Kruger is a really, really good place to see leopard. I mean, we've got really, really good spots throughout the park where leopard are common and they're there. I mean, these animals are shy, they blend in very, very well, but most of our birding trips, because we're going slowly and we're looking at birds, looking at trees, often we do come across leopard. I mean, this is just a typical pose. It's always takes your breath away, and a real privilege when we have sightings like this. One of my last birding tours in Kruger before the virus broke out, we were actually watching a battalier perched in a tree, and one of the ladies said to me, "Mark, just look above the battalier. There's a leopard in the tree." And we were also focused on this battalier that no one had actually seen the leopard up at the top of the tree. So it just shows you. I actually have yet to do a birding trip of a few days in the park where we don't see leopard. So yeah, they're there. Excuse me, sip of coffee. And of course, your rhinos. This is black rhino. You can see that hook lip there, your black rhino or your hook lip rhinoceros. And the southern area around Bergendal, Bergendal Camp, and then heading a little bit towards the east on the S25 towards Gardenia High, that area can be very, very good to see black rhino. It's a tough species to see within Kruger National Park, but they are there. And some of the tours, when you spend time in the south, we do come across your black rhino. Of course, we all know what's been happening with the poaching and the crisis these animals face, where people are being killed for the horn, and the horn is then being shipped out of Africa and is believed to be used as traditional medicine in the East, an aphrodisiac, and it's hammered the population. You know, I think last year I only saw 2 to 3 sightings of black rhino in Kruger, where it used to be much more common. The white rhino is much more common in the Kruger National Park. Our trips in Namibia, and then a visit to Etosha National Park in Namibia is probably, in my opinion, the best place in Africa to see a black rhino. I mean, I stay at Okukuyo in Etosha. If you spend a night there and you don't see black rhino coming to that waterhole, you might as well get your money back. But back to South Africa, and we're moving on. So some of the birds that we pick up in the Bergendal area, and even from the camp, this is one of the smaller birds, but always a fantastic little bird to see. This is a golden-breasted bunting. Often will come down to pools of water in the heat of the day to drink. So often in the camp, or sitting from the camp, looking at that camp's waterhole, we get good views on this bird. One of the target birds, or one of the targets we're often looking for around the Bergendal area and on the tar road to the camp, is bushveld pipit. It's got a restricted distribution in Kruger Park. You normally only find them around Bergendal camp, and then sometimes around Pretorius camp in the far west, the southwestern corner of the Kruger Park. And the other great bird that we get while looking for bushveld pipit and we listen for is a lazy cisticular. If you're on tour in summer, the birds are very, very vocal in this area. Also, one of our stunning little birds to see, often hanging around the camp, again around water, is your Pytilia. And this is a green-winged Pytilia. Always one of those fantastic birds. You often find them in little bird parties with the blue wax bills and the southern black tits, etc. It's always nice when you get good views on a stunning bird. One of the big targets for Bergendal camp when we're there in the summer is this thick-billed cuckoo. This bird is an inter-African migrant, so it comes down from Central Africa to Southern Africa. And we've had a bird, actually a pair, coming down to Bergendal now for the last couple of years. And in our summer months, so from about October, November, December, through to about February, March, these birds are resident, and you often hear them calling in the camp. It's always exciting. I mean, I'm going to play the call now so you can hear the call, but it's always exciting sitting in the camp. I was on a birding tour one morning having a cup of coffee, and you hear that call going, and you just know, got to get onto this bird. So as with all cuckoos, these birds are parasites. They're brood parasites, and they mainly they parasitize on your Retz's helmet shrike. I'm just going to play the call so you can get an idea of this bird's call, because it's got a very, very unique call. Yeah, you can see such a unique call. It's always a special bird to see. This bird is special to see anywhere in Africa. Of course, more common in our trips when we spend time in Central Africa, Uganda. My recent trip in January to Ghana, we had really good sightings of them. But in South Africa, it's a special bird. We also have chances of getting this bird when we spend time in the more northern parts of Kruger. Also, a bird that is resident in Bergendal camp is your trumpet or hornbills. These birds rely on thick riverine forests, so the Bergendal area is good for them. I've seen them around Skukuza Rest Camp and then in the far north around Pafuri Picnic Spot. Also, very, very unique call. Sounds like a baby cry. And then one of the special birds that hangs around right in front of the Bergendal camp, in that you saw that there's that pool of water in the thickets, and even when we spend the night there, often at night you get better views on them, is your white-backed night heron. It's a special bird to see in Southern Africa and in Kruger, and it's been one that often hangs around the Bergendal camp. Of course, it depends on, I mean, the Kruger Park up until now, or up until last year, was in a very bad drought, and then we didn't have sightings of this bird. I mean, there's other places in the park you can get them too, but there has been one of the special birds. The other special bird that hangs around in the area is a sparrowhawk, a black sparrowhawk. It's often seen around the Bergendal area as well. That is a tough bird to see in Kruger Park. And then this butte is resident in the camp. We hear the bird calling at night, but we also know have an idea where the day roost is. Often spends time around the camping area. This is a barred owlet. Barred owlet is not as common in Kruger as his cousin, the pearl-spotted owlet. There are some of the camps in the north where they become a bit more common, but this is always a good bird to get and a special bird to get, and Bergendal is normally a good bet for them. I'm going to play the call for this bird. It's also got quite a unique call to him. And then one of the other special birds for Bergendal Rest Camp is this eastern nukator. The bird is actually resident in the camp, often around the petrol station. And it's one of the main targets that we go for once we're spending time in Bergendal. If we're not going up into the north, I mean, they're also resident in Punda Maria Rest Camp, apologies. When we picked them up, I've had them before around Crocodile Bridge. You go on the Crocodile Bridge star towards Lower Sabia. I've had them there before, but they can be a bit of a tough bird. I mean, they do prefer thick riverine bush, so Bergendal is good for them. Other good birds for Bergendal can be really good for your accipiters. So shikra, little sparrowhawk, African goshawk often is heard and seen in the camp. Things like your Sterling's wren warbler are quite common around the camp, and then even African hawk eagle. There's a pair that seems to breed on the tar road around the camp. So the camp is really, really good. I mean, there's a nice walk that you can do through the camp as well. And then pick up things like your terrestrial brown bulls, Your purple-crested Turako is a resident in the camp. Yellow-breasted Opalus, it's a good place for the bird. Sometimes you have bar-throated Opalus as well, which is not a common Kruger bird. Yeah, I mean, the camp has got, it's a good place. We spend 2-3 days here because it gives you a good introduction to the birding. You know, the sunbirds, scarlet-chested sunbird is, collared sunbird is in the camp, and even sometimes the more rare purple-banded sunbird is in the camp. And then with there being water, the marabou stalks are around, the thicknees, water thickney. Often you have your herons coming down throughout the day. It's a nice camp in the heat of the day just to relax. You know, you've got that water, so it also attracts birds and wildlife that come down to the camp. Okay, so we're going to be moving on now on our tour and making our way from Berkendal. We're going to be making our way towards the Lebombo Mountains, so east, and we'll be driving along the Crocodile River. And this is one of the other entrances in the south, and this is the low water bridge again over the Crocodile River. And we are at Crocodile Bridge. There's a small rest camp as well in the area. And I mean, the area is quite good for a number of birds. Some of Kruger's special birds have come from the area and around the bridge. When the water is low, we do pick up sand martins, are often in the area. Some people know them as bank martins. Rufous winged testicular is there. And then brown-throated weaver. That is not a Kruger bird at all. In the last couple of years, has all been seen in that area from actually on that bridge. So, and then of course, again, being water similar to Marilyn, really, really good for water birds. In and around the camp, you get this beauty. This is your white-crested helmet shrike. I absolutely love these helmet shrikes. So it's actually skin around the eye like that, and they really, really are such beautiful, unique little birds. And then another one of our cuckoos. This is a red-chested cuckoo. The area is quite good for cuckoos in our summer months. I mean, all of our cuckoos will only be here in our summer. So this red-chested, your Levalence, your Jacobin cuckoo, these are all our inter-African migrants, African cuckoo. And we do also get European or common cuckoo that comes down. Red-chested cuckoo has got that unique call. My South African friends joining me will know it as your pick-me-fro on that call. Is a typical call of this bird. And as we know, these are all brood parasites and they rely on the host. And it is quite interesting. Your white-browed robin chat, this guy over here, that is actually one of the hosts for the red-chested cuckoo. When we're looking for cuckoos, if we're seeing the host, then we know if we're in summer, there's a good chance the cuckoos can be around. These white-browed robin chats is probably the most common robin chat in the park, quite common in the camps. And if you walk around the camps early in the morning, you often get quite good views on them. We do also get white-throated robin chat in the Kruger Park from time to time. And it's quite good. Skukuza camp is actually quite a good place for white-throated robin chat. And in the area, when you drive from Crocodile Bridge heading up north, either you take the dirt road, the S28, or heading up north towards Lower Sabi, where we join onto the Sabi River, is quite good again for raptors. You can see leopard-faced vulture, the big guy, we call him the can opener, with a big, powerful beak where you can come down, open up the carcass, and then there in the background, you can see you've got the white-backed vulture. The area supports good vultures. I mean, white-headed vultures often in the area, and in the small, the toothpick, your hooded vulture, because the area's got really, really good carnivore numbers. Crocodile Bridge is probably one of the best places to see lion. The Varami pride of lions hang around, and the Shishongeni pride hang around that area. So you can imagine with there being good lions and then making kills, that of course is going to attract your vultures in. It's really, really good for your raptors. Tawny eagles is often seen in the area, African harrier hawk, fish eagle along the river, your booted eagle I've seen in that area, Wahlberg's eagle, lesser spotted eagle. It really attracts some good birds. Just our vultures in Africa, like most of the vultures in the world, these guys are critically endangered. So having a park like Kruger where they're protected in the park and we've got good numbers of them, it's always special being able to get good views on these birds like this. A lot of work is being done with the conservation of vultures to try and get people to understand that if we lose our vultures, these guys have such an important role to play in the ecosystem. If we lose these guys, you start to get outbreaks of famine and disease, like I said, like what's happened in parts of India. We just need to get people to understand that we cannot be using them. A lot of in Africa, they use traditionally, they believe parts can be used for traditional medicine. And then now with the poaching crisis, people have realized, that the vultures show anti-poaching teams where a rhino or an elephant has been poached. So now poachers are actually lacing elephant carcasses that have been poached or rhino carcasses that have been poached with poison. The vultures come down and we have these mass poisonings of vultures taking place in Africa. And again, my friends at EWT, Andre Buerta and them, they're doing some really great work with vulture conservation. They're not the most beautiful birds in Africa, but they need our protection because they've got such an important role to play in the ecosystem. And they all have everything's got its role and got it's there for a reason. So, yeah. And then this is also a great bird to come across. And I've had great sightings often on the drive up from Crocodile Bridge towards Lower Sabi. This is your giant eagle owl or a Burroughs eagle owl with their pink eyelids. And you can see this bird is actually on a kill. It caught a spur fowl. It caught a Natal spur fowl. Yeah, other great birds or some of the other birds we see in the EOA, you can see I've got a juvenile shikra. While we're driving through the area, we go through sometimes some thick patches of forest or vegetation. That often is quite good for your accipiters. You sometimes will even get your goshawks in the area. I've had dark chanting goshawk in the area as well. So it attracts quite a variety. Little sparrowhawk is also often hanging around in that area. And then as you heard me say, the area is really, really good for carnivores. It's a good area of the Kruger Park to see cheetah. Cheetah is also one of those attractions to see, or one of those mammals people really want to see when they visit Kruger. Kruger's actually got a very, very good population of cheetah, estimating about 250 individuals in the park. A lot of people think if you want to see cheetah, you must always go to East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania. Yes, our trips to Kenya, Tanzania, we often do come across cheetah on our nature travel birding trips there. But Kruger's got a very, very good population. And some people even say a higher population than the Serengeti, the Masai Mara. And Crocodile Bridge area has got a couple of residents. This is a cheetah cub. And this cub is actually part of what we gave her the nickname Supermom. She had 5 cubs with her. And she was resident actually on the S25 and the S28. And she really entertained us. And we got some great sightings of her. There are a couple of males that hang around the Crocodile Bridge area on the S28. And then heading up to Duke Waterhole, and then even north of Lower Sabi Camp, near Molendosia, and going up on the H10. I mean, of course, the area around Sotara, which is your more open grasslands and your more open plains, is also really, really good for cheetah. And they even seen cheetah up in the north, near Shingweti. Cheetah don't necessarily need open grassy plains. We've got a couple of cheetah that we know of in the Kruger Park that spend time around Pretoriaskop and on the Napi, the road from Pretoriaskop to Skukuza. And that is not open plains at all, and there's cheetah there. They've actually adapted, and you'll find them in your more denser vegetation as well. Of course, lions. I mean, everyone enjoys seeing a good lion. Sometimes they can be quite boring when they just sleep there. The lions around Crocodile Bridge, is the Barami pride is actually quite unique, is that they will actually go up into the trees. So I've only seen lions up in the trees on a couple of occasions. They're famous in Uganda, in Queen Elizabeth National Park. And then in Kruger, the Barami pride that actually go up into the trees. And then Shishlu Mfolozi also in South Africa has a pride that have learned to go up into the trees. And that's just a typical scene that we see in the area. This was taken either probably on the tar road going up to Lower Sabi. The area is great for your common, your plains game. Zebra, really good numbers of blue wildebeest or gnu, giraffe, impala, etc. It's just sometimes it just makes beautiful settings like that. And then for the birdies in there, if you look at that young giraffe in the middle, you'll see there's an oxpecker on the back there as well. The species of zebra we have in the park is your Birchall zebra, the same species from the migrations in East Africa. And then there's also just another typical scene. I mean, just to show you some of the scenery in the area. There's a nice big elephant bull walking down to the Crocodile River, with the mountains of Berg and Dal in the area. Just, you know, when we're on these birding trips, we are targeting, trying to always get birds, trying to get mammals, but sometimes it's always just good, take it all in, sit back and just enjoy what nature has to offer and what nature has to give. Another typical scene, this was taken on the S28, that is a white rhino, quite common in the area, coming across the road. You can see that a really, really good path over there. Sorry, I'm jumping here. One of the other great scenes, or what we pick up on the S28 is some of our big bulls, some of our big elephants come down from Mozambique and across from Mozambique and often spend time on the open plains just south of Lower Sabi. One of the famous elephants in the area was Duke. He was a very, very special elephant, and he was one of the tuskers in the Kruger Park. And I was lucky on a few occasions to see him actually near Duke Waterhole, which is named after. And one of the special birds to get in this area in summer, once we've had our really, really good rains, is our black Cougars. Now, this is an absolutely stunning bird. I mean, your Birchall's Cougars, Senegal Cougars, up north, your white-browed Cougars, coppery-tailed Cougars, purple-headed Cougars, these are all great, great birds. But this bird, when he comes in, we've had really, really good rain, the grass is long, you know they're going to show up on the S28 in the thick, long grass, and then near Molandozi. And it's a very, very unique bird. Beautiful bird to see. If they can sit up, and a very, very unique call. Always good when you're driving slowly, looking for some of the smaller birds, trying to flush up cisticulars, rufous-naped lark, even maybe a button quail or a crake, and you hear that call coming from the reeds, you know you might have a chance. Best early morning. That's why we need to get up nice and early on our birding trips. Okay, so we're making our way now from where we've been around Crocodile Bridge on the S28. Now we're making our way up to Lower Sabi, and this is Sunset Dam. Probably one of my favorite places in Southern Kruger. You can just sit here in your car next to the dam. It's within a 2-minute drive from the camp, so you can enjoy a spectacular sunset there, hence the name. And as you can see, for a birder, it's all happening there. Left, we've got a black wing stilt. We've got white-faced whistling ducks. Up in the tree, you can see the big nests from your buffalo weavers. Underneath those nests, you can see the normal weaver birds, southern masked weaver birds, where they nest there. And because of that, we often get Deirdre cuckoo that hangs around their parasites on the weavers. And I've even seen cutthroat finch there before. In the distance, there'll be saddle-billed stork, there'll be marabou stork, yellow-billed storks, great waders. It's just a spectacular spot, and you really get some incredible birding. To the left of this, we've got white-backed night heron. If there's in the dam as well. You can see the hippos often give us their antics and their yawns right up there. And I've sat here before watching the sunset, and lions come down to drink, or a carnivore comes down to drink, rhino, elephants come down. So it's just it's a spectacular little spot to spend time at. And then we're onto the Sabi River now. So we've left the Crocodile River, we've headed slightly north, we're on the Sabi River. And that is the famous bridge seen from Skakuza Rest Camp. The Skakuza Rest Camp is a little bit west from Lower Sabi, going up and along the Sabi River. And it is the central part of Southern Kruger. It is the main hub for Kruger. It's the biggest administrative capital. And as you can see, it's got the Sabi River running in front of it, and that is the old railway, the old Salati Railway. Here you can see there's a lot of water. This photo was taken at the beginning of this year after our good rains and with a bit of a flood coming down. Also great for birding in the camp and along the river. Red-faced cisticular is often in the reeds, African green pigeon. The camp's got bearded scrub robin in it. It's got your typical, your more common birds, but it gives you a good chance to associate them. Common wax-billed, thick-billed weaver. We've had red-backed mannikins in front of the camp before. African pygmy kingfisher sometimes along the river. Fisher eagle along the river. You can hear it's just really, really good birding in the camp. One of the main targets that we're targeting when we're doing the drive up from Lower Sabi to Skakuza are these guys, and we're very, very lucky. They're always at Sunset Dam. These are white-crowned lapwing. You might say, oh, but if they're always there, what's so special about them? This bird has actually got a very, very limited distribution within South Africa. And Kruger Park is probably one of the best places to see them at Sunset Dam, and then once you go a little bit north, they're common on the Letaba rivers, and then common up in the north, Limpopo, especially from the bridge. But Sunset Dam, you get really close, and you can get good photos of these birds. They've got quite a unique call. They're like your lapwing call. But I mean, I've had them sometimes in the parking at Sunset Dam. They're walking around the parking lot. But it's actually a target bird for trips in Kruger. You heard me say yellow-billed stork. It's just, I mean, it's a common bird around water, but I just think they're fantastic. If anyone has traveled to India, very, very similar to the painted storks we get in Asia and in India. Oh, I sometimes wonder they can be separate species. I don't know, but I guess that's where your genetics come into place. There you heard me say our African green pigeon likes lower Sabi and Skukuza rest camps. They've also got quite a unique call. I'm just going to play the call. Often pick them up when we hear these birds calling. The camps in Kruger Park have got really good birding in them, and the birds in the camps have got used to people, so they're a bit more tame, and you're not confined anymore to the vehicle. So when we do our birding trips in the park, we spend a lot of time actually walking around the camps and birding the camps, because you can get good photos, get closer to the birds, and you're not confined to that vehicle. So I really suggest spending time walking around your camps, and you really enjoy some good birding, and do it at night as well. A really good chance to get familiar with all the camps have got resident owls in them, be it the small owls, pearlies, barred owlet to barn owls, spotted eagle owls. They're there, just have to. And then you come across some of your nocturnal specials too, bush babies. Skukuza camp is full of both species, your greater and your lesser bush babies, or galago. And you never know. I mean, Satara African wildcat is in the camp often at night. I've had genets at Skukuza rest camp. Civets at Bergendal. So yeah, the camps really attract a lot of wildlife. Just because there's a fence going around, it doesn't mean there's not wildlife that comes inside the camp. Don't worry, you're safe. It keeps the big things out, but there is a lot that happens within your camps. And often your small birds, those blue waxbills, the pitilias, the different cisticulars, those smaller things that are, violet-eared waxbill. You walk around Skukuza or around the nursery, you're going to see that bird. But when you're in the car, so there's sometimes the smaller things that are a bit tough, and we can mix and just miss, and it just gives you better views on the species. And then one of the special birds to see along the Sabi River. These birds have been recorded along the Crocodile River, but probably along the Sabi River is your best chance to see the African finfoot. This is almost one of the holy grail birds in Kruger and in South African birding. Really, really good place is along the Sabi River, but at the two bridges. Your best bet is the low water bridge right at Skukuza camp near the day visitors area. The bird often will make an appearance, and sometimes he'll swim down and across the river like a duck. But they are generally quite shy and difficult birds to see. And I have also seen the bird from the high level bridge too. I know there have been reportings all along the Sabi River. So all those little loops you can take, it's definitely worth checking out. But this is definitely one of those special birds we target when we or around Skukuza, and it always gives you that fist bump, yes, when you've managed to get good views of this bird. You can see me getting excited about it already. And then one of the birds that we often also get in this area, quite good around Skukuza. You can also go south from Skukuza back down to Marilyn. That area can also be good for birding and for wildlife. Is your charismatic southern ground hornbill. This is one of two species of ground hornbill in Africa. The other is your northern or your Abyssinian ground hornbill, found north of the equator. They've got a bit of a blue patch on the neck, and this is a pair walking in a dry riverbed. The male has got blue underneath, a little bit of blue underneath the throat. Kruger Park has got a very, very good population. It's one of the best places to see the species, and it's always a target on our birding trips. These birds are critically endangered. So an endangered species. They're actually BirdLife South Africa Bird of the Year this year. So they need our protection. They need our awareness. They're unique birds. Again, you heard me say how the hornbills breed. They all will make a nest in the tree. And even these guys, not make a nest. They make a cavity, look for a hole in the tree. And one of the threats facing them in Kruger Park are unfortunately the jumbos, the big elephants. With them using a hole in the tree or a cavity in a tree branch, they use the same nest every year, or not every year. They don't breed every year, but they'll use the same nest, and because of that, elephants push the tree over and they destroy the nest. So it is a problem. And then the way they breed, these birds are monogamous. They'll pair and they'll mate for life. And the female, she will only lay 2 eggs every 8 to 9 years. Of the 2 eggs, only one will ever survive. They practice what we call siblicide, like Cain and Abel. That second egg, it is just actually a backup for the first one. The first egg will be laid, and a few days later, the second egg. And that second egg, basically, if everything is going well with the first egg, doesn't get fed, something when the youngster will push him out. So that doesn't, they're not really helping their cause. But I mean, we know a lot of our birds, the raptors, a lot of the eagles will do the same thing. And then in some parts of Africa, they are also prosecuted for traditional medicine. There's a lot of belief that goes around them. But then in some parts of South Africa, like in Zululand, in KZN, these birds are protected. Because in Zulu culture, these birds are seen as the rainbird. So then now they are being protected. But they are in trouble and they do need our help. They're amazing birds. Just to see them strutting themselves, walking down the road. Ladies, look at those eyelashes. Those beautiful, beautiful long eyelashes like that. And their diet, I mean, these guys are actually carnivores. They'll eat meat. They're very, very good at catching snakes. I've seen them on a couple of occasions catching snakes. They'll go for chameleons. They'll go for other birds, tortoises. Their diet is very, very unique. But it's always, if people have come into Kruger Park as birders, they'll be looking for ground hornbills, and we do get them. They are common actually throughout the park as well. Probably the most photographed animal in the Kruger National Park, and definitely the most photographed bird, is your lilac-breasted roller, LBR. Just look at that bird, those beautiful colors, that purple chest. This bird has got 7 different colors on the body, the different shades of blues, of purples. It's just, they're so common, but I mean, when they sit like this, and you just, no matter how many times you've seen a lilac-breasted roller, you just got to stop and you just got to enjoy them. We do get the other rollers that come into the park. We do get the migrant, your European roller that comes all the way from Europe. Amazing bird. Does a migration all the way from Southern Europe, Spain, Portugal, all the way down to South Africa, of course to Namibia, Zambia, Botswana. It's always amazing to think a bird this size, your European roller, all blue in color, can do that migration. The European birders go crazy when they see European rollers in the park, so close. So we're very, very spoiled with them. When I was leading a birding tour in Spain 2 years ago and we saw European rollers, we had to look at them through a scope and everyone was getting excited, whereas the South Africans will know they sometimes sit right next to our safari vehicle on our trips. A lot of people ask, why do they get the name roller? Why a roller? It comes from when they display or when they flight. They'll actually roll in flight, and that's where their name for the family comes from. The other reservoir migrant roller we get in the park is your broadboard roller, comes in summer, and then we get purple roller resident throughout the year. Then up in the north, you get your very special racket-tailed roller. You heard me say raptors, very, very good around Skukuza, Lower Sabi, even going a little bit north of Skukuza towards Chokwan and then up to Satara. You can see a nice photo of a martial eagle giving me this stare down. Sometimes these birds will just sit there and you can actually get really, really nice and close and manage to get some good photos. And your martial eagle, it's also a threatened or an endangered species. So as you can hear, Kruger is very, very important, not just for the mammals, but for the birds, because it's providing that safe haven for a lot of our critically endangered species and our critically endangered birds. There's a tagging project on the go currently in Kruger with our martial eagles. So if you ever see any martial eagles that are tagged with tags on the legs or wing tags, please report them to the Endangered Wildlife Trust, to their martial eagle and the large prey program. And these guys, it's amazing. They can take some pretty big. I've seen martial eagle take a steenbok, which is one of our small antelopes in the park. And then bee eaters, they always do it for everyone. Bee eaters are well sought after, and the drive up in this area along the river is very, very good for bee eaters. This is a little bee eater. We get white-fronted bee eater in summer, December time, going into January. You'll get the migrants, your southern carmine bee eaters. We do also get a wide variety of your different bee eaters coming. I mean, the white-fronted, they're resident. We get them throughout the year. And then your African wood owl is actually a spot that we know of when driving up from Lower Sabi to Skukuza, where there's a pair that's on a day roost. And they spend time. This is no tough bird to see in the Kruger National Park, wood owl. And there's quite a good spot. And then around the nursery, there's also a pair of wood owls that spend time around the nursery, around Skukuza. I'm just going to play their call. Because sometimes while you're in the camp, especially Skukuza camp, you will hear these birds calling. And if you go out, you stand a chance of seeing them. Beautiful call. It's always exciting. I mean, our trips, I mean, as you go a bit more north out of South Africa, or you spend time in the right areas, I mean, down in the KZN coast, up in the Caprivi Strip, other parts, I mean, in Ghana, we had them in our campsite. They become a bit more common. But it's always amazing lying in bed and you hear that, whoo, you pop out and the things above your tent. It's always, I think they're just amazing, cool little owls to see. I love my owling. So if you come on tour with me, you'll know I'll always be up for a bit of owling at night and see what owls we can get our eyes on. Back to the birding. This is a Bennett's woodpecker. Often also a bird. I mean, the bird is actually seen quite often within Lower Sabi rest camp, and it is a target woodpecker to get. And at the area along the river and around Skukuza is good for all of our woodpeckers. Bearded woodpecker, cardinal woodpecker. These woodpeckers all spend time around the area. Often we get them, and the bearded woodpecker, you hear him doing his drumming there. And then cardinal woodpecker, very, very small woodpecker. Most of the camps have got golden-tailed woodpecker in as well, and they've got a very distinct call. I'll be playing that call a bit later on in the trip. Small birds, you heard me say, when you spend time in the camps and you're watching, you get to see beautiful small birds like your firefinches. This is an African firefinch. We do get red-billed firefinch and even Jamison's firefinch. Often spending time in these small little bird parties, you get your wax bills, you get your indigo birds, etc. So it's always best sometimes just to sit back, keep an eye out and see what you can find. One of the targets and the bird we often see, especially when you're heading north from Skukuza, just south, I mean, heading towards the famous Liupan Chokwan area, is your Sterling's wren warbler. This bird, almost all the time on a birding trip, you'll get this bird by listening to the call and then finding the bird, calling the bird out. I'm going to play the call for you so you can hear the very, very unique call. You can see that call is that ringing, tinkling call is very, very distinct. And you'll often be driving, hear that call, and if you stop and look, play a bit of call, you'll call the bird out. And it's always a good bird to get on our trips and get in the Kruger Park. And that area, I mean, they are more common also up in the north, but that area I seem to, I mean, even around Bergendal, but going up that area, going up towards Chokwan can be very, very good for these birds. Giant kingfisher. This was taken on the high water bridge crossing the Sabi River. There's a pair that hang around there. And whenever you're around the water, you're going to be seeing these birds. It's the largest kingfisher in Africa. So it's always nice to see such a big kingfisher. And it is one of the largest in the world. Not the largest. The kookaburra is actually the largest kingfisher in the world. But anytime we're along our rivers in the Kruger Park, you must keep your eyes out for kingfisher. You can sex them quite easily. If he's got brown on the chest, it's the male wearing his waistcoat. And if the brown is on the bottom, it is the female wearing her skirt. And then, like you've heard me say multiple times, Kruger Park's not just about the birding, but it's got some incredible mammals. We always have great mammal sightings. We push for our mammals. We try and target mammals and get good sighting of them. And the area around Skukuza is known for its lion population as well. There's often around the camp, you can lie in bed or we're having dinner, having a barbecue, and you'll hear the lions roaring. Often going out early in the morning, if you're not going to come across hyenas, come across lions, sometimes lion and hyena. It's a really, really good area of the park for lion, leopard as well, even some of your smaller carnivores. I've seen on one occasion, not jackal, sorry, caracal in the area, and even sometimes serval going a bit south towards Renosterkopi's water. There you can see African buffalo. When they give you that stare, you can only be lucky you're in a car. It's always a good thing to see nice and close from a car. You don't want to really see them on foot. But the Sabi River, the buffalo often come down to Sabi River to wallow and to drink. Sometimes in very, very big herds, and sometimes we just get the lone dugger boys along the river. Of course, our African elephants, there you can see them enjoying a drink and a bath in the river on a nice hot summer's day in Kruger National Park. A drive in summer along the Sabi River in the late afternoon are guaranteed to see elephants in the water, and then elephants crossing the road on the way to the water. Kruger has a very, very good, actually too many elephants, a good elephant population. So we really, really get spoiled with the elephant sightings on our trips in Kruger. And they're fantastic animals to see. Always special seeing them cross the road or drinking in the river like that. It's just, this is how they should be, wild and free, and it's a typical Africa scene. Some of our antelope, that is a beautiful male kudu or a greater kudu. You can see where they twist in the horns, their white lines down the flank. Those white lines are a form of camouflage, it's known as disruptive markings. Breaks the outline of the kudu up so you can blend in. And then those spirally twisty horns. Each twist, they say, is 2.5 years in his life. And these are very, very flexible antelopes. They can jump 3.5 meters high from a standing position. It almost defies logic to think that an antelope like that can jump high. If you go onto YouTube and have a look, you'll see there's actually a couple of videos of these guys jumping over farm fences. Amazing to see. Then you heard me say we often, the Skukuza area seems to be very, very good for spotted hyena, Sotara camp as well. Partly because it's been a South African, for lack of a better word, tradition. After you've had your barbecue, what we call a braai, throw the bones over the fence. It's not a good thing to do at all because we're attracting these animals closer to where there are people. And eventually they start to come into camps and you don't want to meet a hyena. There was actually an incident a few years ago at Crocodile Bridge where a hyena got into a camp and bit a boy. So we don't support the feeding of any animals in our national parks. But there is, if you spend a night or two around Skukuza, one of the mornings you're going to go out and probably come across hyenas. The area is just really, really good for them, and they just seem to spend time in there. It can be a tough mammal to see on our trips because they're nocturnal. So unless you do a night drive, sometimes coming across hyena can be tough. But often early mornings, you get them walking on the roads, heading back from a territorial patrol back to the den. Okay, we're not going very far from, we asked heading towards Pretoriaskop. There is also a special area of the Kruger Park, but no birding trip in Kruger is complete without a stop at the Lake Panic bird hide, very close to Skukuza, and then off to the nursery. It's just a spectacular space to spend some time. And in my opinion, that's one of the best hides in the park. There's always something going on there, really, really good birds. You get things like your African darter, there's often reed cormorant there, wide-branded kingfishers. You can see the southern masked weaver nest there, sometimes even lesser masked weavers. You get spectacled weaver in the area too. There's often black crake, African jacana walking on the lilies. It's just a great hide, and it attracts mammals too. I mean, I've been at the hide before, and a whole herd of elephants comes around the hide down to drink, and it's amazing. The elephants are, you're in the hide, and they're about 2-3 meters away from the entrance of the hide, walking around. And there's also a resident leopard. We actually call him the Lake Panic male. Often late in the afternoon, comes down for a drink. So you can be lucky, and you get that Africa shot of a leopard coming down to drink. Striated heron, it used to be called a green-backed heron, is almost always at the Lake Panic bird eye. And you can get quite nice and close like this, and it gives you a great chance for photographic opportunities. Your wire-tailed swallows, they actually nest inside the hide, and they'll zoom in and out of the hide while you're sitting there. And then purple-banded sunbird, there's not a typical Kruger bird. You heard me say we can get them in the Bergendal Rest Camp or Bergendal Rest Camp. And then we do also get them often around the nursery. As you park at the nursery before going into the indigenous nursery, they often hang around there on the boardwalk over the wetland. And it's a good bird to see in the Kruger Park. Other sunbirds that we target in the area will be your scarlet-chested is often in the area, your collared sunbird. And then when we make our way towards Pretoriaskop, is the only place in the park you can see amethyst sunbird. White-bellied sunbird is also resident in Skukuza Rest Camp and around the golf course / nursery. Yes, there's a golf course in the Kruger Park. You can play golf in the Kruger Park, the golf course, exceptionally good birding. We do spend time there as well. And it hosted recently, a few years back, we had lesser jacana that spent some time there. Crowned hornbill, this is one of the specials of the Skukuza Rest Camp, the nursery, the golf course, etc. And they often spend time in this area. They can be very, very vocal. You'll often hear them around the camp, and you can go and find them. And even the trumpet or hornbills are also often in these areas. I'm just going to play the call because these are very, very vocal birds. And then one of the other buttes that we really target in this Kakuza area, sometimes along the river heading up towards Chokwan, but very, very good around the nursery, is your other helmet shrike, your Retz's helmet shrike. Again, I just cannot get enough of helmet shrikes and their beautiful skin around the eyes. When you get them in the open for a short bit like that, they're just fantastic birds to see. And they are, we really try to target them in this part of the park. The other good birds that we can get, where we get around the nursery and around the bird hide, gorgeous bush shrike is often in the area, bearded scrub robin. And then around the nursery's had rarities over the years as well. Blue-mantled crested flycatcher, the wood owl sometimes in the nursery. So you can see this whole area is just really, really great for birding and well worth spending some time. Make a pop. It's a lovely place to go for lunch. You know, you can take a picnic lunch or a packed lunch and just sit in the nursery in the shade and just enjoy all the birds around you. Okay, we're now moving a little bit to the western side. We're still in Southern Kruger Park. You really don't, when you're doing a birding trip in the park or doing some birding, you don't want to miss out Pretoria Skop. It's in the it's still in Southern Kruger, and it's in the far western corner, and it's a different part of the park. You do get some of your open grassy plains like this, but it's what we call our Terminalia sourveld. It's got your silver cluster leaves. And because of that, it does attract, it's very dense, thick vegetation, so it does attract a few different birds, an array of different birds that do come into the area. So we normally will spend a night in the area, or at least make sure if we at Skakuza, do a trip from Skakuza towards Pretoria Skop to try and just pick up on some of these birds that you really only find in this area. In winter, the area is always exciting because some of the escarpment species make their way down from the cold of the high escarpment into this area. When I say things like white-starred robin, red-throated wryneck, long-crested eagle, these are all birds that they make slight they call them altitudinal migrants, and they make these slight movements, and often around Pretoria Skop and the koppies around Pretoria Skop, you can see them. Green twin spot, for example, has been seen on a few occasions within the camp. I know they've been seen at Bergendal as well, but that is I've only seen it once in the park, and that was at Pretoria Skop Rest Camp. So that's just the entrance. It's a beautiful camp to spend some time birding in the camp as well. Purple crested turako guaranteed. You heard me say it's a place to see amethyst sunbird, sometimes red-winged starling. In winter, greater striped swallow, which is also an altitudinal migrant as they're moving towards Mozambique, and can be seen flying around the camp. Really, really good for woodpeckers. Last year, there were sightings of bathawk from the camp. So you can, people think our Pretoria Skop, the long grass and the sourveld is boring. For birding, there's a lot. African golden weaver is also seen around the area. So you can, it's got some good birding. Things, your accipiters like lizard buzzard. It's probably one of the, we get them throughout the park, of course, but I see the Pretoria Skop area can be very, very good for getting lizard buzzard, dark chanting goshawk. It's the only place really, sometimes north of Crocodile Bridge, but it is a really, really good place to get dark chanting goshawk amongst that Terminalia sourveld. The other great raptor we get is your African cuckoo hawk. It's the only place in Kruger Park that I've seen this bird, and that is around, actually just south of the camp, going onto the Foot Tracker Road. I've seen African cuckoo hawk there. But I know there's sightings that come from the area all the time. You get things like your yellow-throated petronia, or now it is a yellow-throated bush sparrow, is resident in Pretoria Skop Rest Camp and in the area around it. But you heard me say your purple crested turako. It's always a stunning bird just to get eyes on. I've had a village indigo bird in the camp as well before. It's one of those camps where it's always worth spending some time walking around, because you're always going to get one or two birds that are not picked up. Lazy cisticola in summer, when you drive from Pretoria Skop the first 5 kilometers towards Shiklawe Dam, you're going to pick up lazy cisticola there. You also might pick up mocking cliffchat, is a resident around the rocks in the Pretoria Skop area as well. Oh, there's the bird there. Always also a stunning bird to always connect with and to get really good views on. And one of the birds that we target, Pretoria Skop is known around, it's got this big granite domes. Pretoria Skop Koppie or hill, Manum Koppie or hill, and then Shabeni, that big granite dome, and striped pipit is a bird that is really, this is the only areas where you're going to see this bird in the park. Unique call and often picked up on the call as well. Then bushveld pipit, you heard me say when we were around Bergendal we targeted, but another great area to get this, to get eyes on the species in the Pretorius Kop area. Things like your collared sunbird also. I mean, they're common in Skukuza Rest Camp as well, but Bergendal, especially the little water fountain at Bergendal by the restaurant, often they come in there to drink. That's where this photo was taken. And then pennant-winged nightjar. And this is always, you can see my smile, this is always such a special bird to see. When people think of pennant-winged nightjar, they always think Punda Maria, Mahoney Loop. Yeah, that's the place to go and see it. You don't have to, I mean, if you, that's the most accessible place to say it. You can do the sunset drive with Kruger Park from Punda Maria. And if it's in November, December, January, you'll see the birds. But they are actually seen in Southern Kruger as well. Around Pretorius Kop, this photo was taken on the, okay, it's on a private concession, on the Incumbeni concession. This bird has been coming here now for the last 4 years. Actually, this past season, last November, we had 2 males displaying. And when you speak to the section range in the area, they do see pennant-winged nightjar around Pretorius Kop as well. So the birds are in the area. I mean, it's very difficult because this is privately accessed on a concession, but it just shows that these birds are in the area. And when people can't drive around at night, they are. I mean, this bird is literally, it's about 5 kilometers off the tourist road, very close to Mozambique. So they are in the area, but like I said, Punda Maria Mahoney Loop, that is probably the most accessible place. You just do a sunset drive and sit at the entrance where the birds come out up at Punda Maria. But stay in the area, and it's a very, very special bird to see. Other birds that we get in the area, you can see I've got a lazy testicular. You heard me say we do get them around Bergendal, but also driving from Pretorius Kop towards Skukuza. Also can be quite vocal, and we do see them along there. Some of this, before we go on to the mammals, some of the other top birds that we do see around the Skukuza area, you heard me say green twin spots being in the camp, croaking testicular often around the camp, white-throated robin-chet, yellow-bellied aeromomola, grey penduline tit breed in the camp in summer. And you heard me say long-crested eagle, one of those altitudinal migrants that comes down into the park sometimes. Even sometimes southern fiscal, which is common outside of the park, not common in Kruger as well. And in the area around Pretorius Kop, so going towards Shatlavi Dam on the main tar road to Skukuza, or even going down the Voortrekker Road towards Afsal Picnic Spot, plays host to two of Kruger's more rare antelopes. So the very majestic and beautiful sable is a lovely bull. There is a resident herd of sable that spend time around Pretorius Kop Rest Camp. And if you drive fire loop around Pretorius Kop for the first section of the Voortrekker, you have a good chance of coming across them there. And then the other one is your Liechtenstein's hartebeest. There's a very, very small population. They reckon there's about 15 of these antelope left in the park. And that first piece of the Voortrekker is probably your best bet to try and get them. So the area has got an attraction, as you can hear, for really, really good birding, but some special antelope to see. I mean, a sable, you've got to, this guy is really, really hit and miss. They sometimes are on the Voortrekker and you see them, and then it can be months before we have a sighting, and then someone reports them there. But if you look if you go into Pretorius Kop Rest Camp, into the reception area, there's actually a book for the rare antelope, and you can see where people have reported the Liechtenstein and then the sable. The sable are doing better and better in the Kruger Park. We're now seeing sightings north of Skukuza going towards Chokwan. And then the more better places are up in the north, you know, around Mopani, Tropic of Capricorn Loop, and then going north towards Shingwetsi, up in that area. But they're all around the south as well. And then the area, when you drive to Pretorius Kop or from Pretorius Kop going towards Skukuza more north, it can somehow have some really, really great mammal viewing. I mean, this is at Shatlavi Dam. You can see the elephants all lined up there having a drink. Just another one of those great Africa scenes, one of those great things to witness. Just, you know, when you're moving around, we can't only be focused on birds. It's always good when we spend time in the Kruger Park just to enjoy everything we can come across. There you can see that's Transport Dam. Transport Dam always tell people it's worth popping down to see. You can sometimes get there and there's nothing. It might just be a common sandpiper. I've had painted snipe there before. Behind the dam, the little loop, there's often a leopard that hangs around there, and then you get there and it's full of buffalo coming down to drink. When you find your big herds of buffalo like this in Southern Kruger Park, it's always worth having a scan and checking the oxpeckers, because the yellow-billed oxpeckers are making a comeback and are moving down south. We're seeing a range expansion. They were actually an endangered species and only historically found in the north, but now they are making their way down into Southern Kruger. I mean, there is lion that often hang around Transport Dam as well. You can see the hippo is very unimpressed there with the buffalo. And then hyena. There's often a hyena den active along we call the road the Napi, so the road from Pretoria to Skukuza, just between Shetlawe Dam and Transport Dam, and then normally around Transport Dam, there's hyenas that are active there. So often early in the morning, you'll see them sunning themselves, even sometimes walking on the road. Just watch these cheeky youngsters. They'll often come up to the car and chew on the number plates. I've seen them pulling off number plates, pulling off vehicle decals, etc. Can be quite entertaining, but not if it's yours. Again, please don't feed any of the animals in the park. I think what's happened is people have fed them and now the hyenas have learned that. And then wild dogs. There is a resident pack of wild dogs in the Pretoria Skop area. They're actually called the Pretoria Skop pack. They sometimes actually den on the koppie right next to the camp. And then there's another pair, the Skukuza pack. The Skukuza pack sometimes comes down from Skukuza and even sometimes on the S65, the Watergat Road. So it can be spending time around Pretoria Skop early morning. You sometimes get lucky and you find the wild dogs hunting on the road. And again, you heard me say, they're always special to come across. You can see this one's got very, very unique coat patterns, a lot of brown in the coat. Also, early morning is really good for the dogs. If you find them early in the morning, they're very normally entertaining and they'll be out and hunting. But if they decide to sleep somewhere, they'll normally be there in a pile of dogs for the day. So thank you very much, folks, for joining me on my virtual tour of Southern Kruger. Again, there's going to be 2 more to follow. I'm going to be doing Central Kruger Park, and then I'm going to be doing the North. I really hope you've enjoyed that. It's kept you entertained during these crazy times. And yeah, just once again, you've heard me say that I'm doing this as a way to try and earn some bit of income during these crazy times. And I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Join us on Facebook. And yeah, till we meet again, thank you very much and have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. Just you can see just a couple of our links for you if you're interested. Cheers, guys. Bye.